No, that one does.
It's gotta have a tough shell to really appreciate it.
Egg jokes on
Donut shop
It's wild. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna shut your video down. Every time it tries to shut you down. Eggs are one of the many miracles in the kitchen. Which one came first?
Egg, chicken, and dinosaur.
See, nobody knows.
Good time.
dinosaur.
She's not wrong.
The dinosaur egg or the dinosaur?
Egg.
Evolution.
If you remember back 13 weeks ago, we started talking about eggs. And
Yes.
here we are 13 weeks later talking about eggs again. And where then it was kind of just an intro into understanding process and how to do things and kind of just trying the kitchen out for size. Today we're going to do more experiments with eggs. I'm going to demo for you how to make a classic French omelet. And you all are going to, for each table, you're going to poach, you're going to do sunny side up, and you're going to do over easy, which are three of the hardest eggs to do.
Great.
You're welcome.
That's the best.
So, again, back to the use of eggs in the kitchen and the place that eggs hold in the kitchen. So much has eggs in it, from breading. If you do a standard breading procedure, seasoned flour, egg wash, and breadcrumb, and then you deep fry, eggs there. Pastry shop, eggs everywhere, right? Hollandaise, sandwiches, salads. Eggs are used as binders, as thickeners, in doughs, in breads for different purposes. So they're used extensively in the kitchen. What you need to know about making an omelet is that it is a great way for you to practice understanding heat control with proteins. I made on Sunday with my 5-year-old, we made a pot roast. I showed him how to make pot roast. So now he can make a killer pot roast. And it's really good. It was really amazing. But the point of that is we took a piece of meat and we applied a technique to it, and it came out and it was cooked properly. You could do that. That took from 9 a.m. and it was done by like 3:30. You don't really want to do that to just try it, right? So here's a way where you can just practice cooking proteins at different temperatures to see what happens on a much shorter time scale and much cheaper. So if you want to learn or practice your protein cookery, get a dozen eggs and practice cooking them. See what happens when you have it really high. See what happens when you have it really low, in the middle, all over the place. Really feel and see what happens. If you remember back when we talked about sous vide cooking and delta T cooking, where you have the outer temperature that's very close to the internal temperature and you step it up slowly. Same thing here. If I take this egg, put it in a wicked hot frying pan, thank you, and I put it in there, it's going to snap, crackle, pop, and blister and bubble and turn brown and get really hard. And I can actually pick that egg up and tack it onto a cork board. Leave it there, because the proteins are getting so tightly wound and tight that they're structurally hard. If I do that over a nice low medium heat, they're going to be supple, decadent, delicate. The mouthfeel is going to be really more sensual than rough. So it's not so much what you like or don't like, it's do you know what to do to get the desired outcome, right? Again, who cares what you like when you're a cook? Right? We talked about that. When I said, how many of you went to a restaurant and, well, I want it the way the cook likes it. How do they like their food? You never think about that. And that's important because we don't cook for ourselves. My job as a cook is to cook for you. I want to make your experience so amazing that you can't help but open up your wallet. I'll walk you through the hardware and software. Hardware is a heat source, pan, we have a whisk, some other pans here, bowls. We'll do a 3-egg omelet. When you crack an egg, it's best to crack it on a flat surface versus on the side. you'll have less incidence of shell going into the eggs. So flat surface. Three eggs. And I'll put a little bit of salt in there. And a little bit of cream.
Why are you
So-
using hot or that instead of the other one? Like, why are you using that heat instead of the other one?
Because we have better space here. I'm going to put a little bit of cream in there. This is going to enrichen the mixture. It's going to make it creamier, obviously, and a little bit lighter in color. If you're doing eggs for a banquet or buffet, like maybe scrambled eggs, use sour cream. And the reason why you want to use sour cream is it lowers the pH of this system, and the expression of sulfur, which is green in eggs, is less. So you can actually extend the ability of eggs to be out on a buffet, look fresh, and not turn like Dr. Seuss's eggs. You know, even though he ended up liking them, but you know what? Wheat eggs and station. That's what it is. So salt, a little bit of cream. Doing a big mixture, sour cream. Whisk it up really, really well. If I stopped right here and cooked that, you would see yellow flecks and white flecks in the mixture. It's not whisked, it's not homogeneous. It needs to be fully whisked together. Another important step. Then, now I have this mixture here, and I have my pan. My pan is hot. All the metal is expanded. It's open. It's ready to receive a little bit of fat. So I'm going to put a little bit of butter in there. And I want to be careful and ready, because if my pan is too hot and I put this in there and it starts to brown right away, I got to throw the eggs right away and cool everything down. Okay. So my goal now is to mix the eggs in a fashion that's going to break apart the curds. If I just poured the eggs in there and left them, it's going to be one big fat curd, and very tough, and almost like chewing on something very dense. By breaking up the curds, smaller and smaller and smaller, you're almost doing like a scrambled eggs, which you can imagine are much softer and creamier mouthfeel in your mouth. Now, when I was at the Ritz, I was a banquet chef, and one of my favorite things to do was cook omelets for anywhere from 200 to 500 people. We would make omelets, and I loved it, not just for the tip jar, but mostly for the tip jar. It was really nice, but it was fun because Harry and I would be out here cooking omelets for a couple hours, and it was a hoot. It was fun. There was a lot of energy, and Harry would take the order from the guests when they come in. All right, I want smoked salmon, brie, and chive omelet. That sound good? So you get all the ingredients together, you pass them down, and I would make the egg sets, which is what I'm going to show you. And the egg set would just be the coagulated eggs, and then we put the filling in there, roll it over, and send it out. And we would have omelets out in like 2 to 3 minutes, fast. Once we got the machine up and running, we made a lot of money. Remember that?
Yeah.
So amazing.
Back in the day.
Oh man. That was in the mid '80s. Were you alive then? Just feeling old. But it is, if you have this kind of setup, maybe you have a wedding that wants a breakfast, omelet station is very profitable. You can make a lot of money for an omelet station. And you got to control the ingredients and make sure they're fresh, and it's a big part of it. So hot pan, what I would do is I'd pour the eggs, put a little butter in here, pour the eggs in, whisk them around. Can you guys pat your head and rub your stomach, that whole thing? If you can do that, then you can make omelets. Okay? If you can't do that, you can't make omelets. Just don't even do it. So you do that, and then once they're all set, you let it rest. You put Harry passes me the fillings, I put them all in there, and I put off to the side, and I get on the next one, and then I'll show you how it works. But one time, we were so busy that Harry took over, and he started helping me out. He stole my spatula. And I'm making my onion sets, and I'm looking for my spatula, and I can't find anything. And behind the bar behind me, I found a pair of chopsticks. I'm like, all right, I guess we're going with those. So I end up using the chopsticks, and now that's all I use when I make the eggs, because they're the perfect thing wooden chopsticks to mix around. I'll show you why. They're actually really awesome.
So this is mine.
No. You can hold it for a minute. And I'll take it back. You scared you. All right, so this is what we do. Before I start, last thing I'll say is there was a chef, classic French chef, Auguste Escoffier, who did the whole brigade system. Maybe you remember reading about him in 240 or in the beginning of our book. But he describes eggs in his cookbook, scrambled eggs inside an envelope, put a stamp on there, and you mail it. Picture that, okay? All right, here we go. You ready? It's going to go pretty fast. So we got the butter in. Butter's melting.
No, you're good.
Butter's melting. And I'm going to add the eggs. You can see it's already starting to coagulate on the sides. See it all coagulating. Peel everything off the sides. Move it all around. My goal here is to break up the egg curds really, really small. Does this look familiar? And you're going to do this until it's almost fully set. And then, once you're almost set, you're going to stop. You turn the heat off. Then you can switch to your spatula and you push everything down in the omelet. You flatten it out. And here's where you put the filling in. So this would be the egg set. Okay. Then you can add fillings, the brie, smoked salmon, whatever you want. This is a little bit of cheese that a student made in a different class. So we'll put some of this in. It's kind of like a soft ricotta cheese. So put a little bit of that in there. You guys like cheese? A lot of
Harry's
cheese.
like, yeah.
I'll eat it. And then I'll put a little bit more salt. Pepper. And then a little bit of fresh parsley. Parsley gives you bitter. It gives you fresh, nice grassy, and then it also gives you a little bit of color inside. Is that Mom? What are you talking about? Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
I can do it in 15. So this is actually an important step because what's happening on the bottom side is all those eggs are finishing their coagulation, and that what should look like on the bottom is smooth as a baby's bottom. Now this morning I saw a baby's bottom, and I gave him a little tushy spank because it's so cute. I can wash my hands afterwards and sanitize them. But it should be like smooth like that on the bottom. So now we've got this thing nice and set. And we fold it over, and you can see how the whole thing is just set like that. And then you can take this and pour it out on the plate. And I want to show you what it looks like unrolled and then rolled. So there it is unrolled. And then if I could just take this thing and roll it up and put it in the middle of the plate. And oftentimes they'll take a little bit of parsley garnish on there, and that'll be like what it is. So I might put a little bit of smoked salmon, pickled red onion,